Hey guys, welcome back to the Detour Live. I'm your host, Dan Jones, and joined, as always, by John Trevorrow and the voice of cycling, Phil Liggett. I've dropped the four-time national. I think we just get straight into it. If you
three times winner of the Sun tour. Throw that one in.
That's better.
Yeah. Intro, John. What would you like me to say moving forward?
John,
love these topics.
This evening, great friend of mine, owes me a lot of money and a troublemaker. Welcome, John.
Yeah, that's better.
Whack! Whack!
Hey, Phil, mate, I don't think you've been to bed. England are through to the final of the Euros. You're up and about in the UK at the moment.
Yeah, I get up every day at 5:30 and head out to the studio where I am now. Here it's 9:30, of course, approaching. And the football was on at 8 o'clock last night, so I just got home, having dinner, because I go to bed at 10 o'clock because it's much so early, and I watched a terrific game of football. I'm not a huge football fan, but I have to say the English team, and I'm usually the worst critic, were absolutely terrific. Absolutely terrific. And they beat Denmark, for whom I felt very sorry because, of course, they lost their big player in the very first match of the very first round with a heart attack. He's recovered, by the way. He's doing okay. And now they're going to face Italy, and where you play is premeditated, but we're playing in Wembley, so they're on home ground against Italy. There's a lot of Italians live in London. They'll be there. It's going to be a super game, absolutely super game.
Yeah, but you did cheat. Let's be honest. That fan who put the laser on the goalie, it's a disgrace, and you should be ashamed of having crowd.
They reckon he's going to be banned for life when they get him. Banned for life, they reckon.
Yep, fair enough.
It was unlucky for him. I'll tell you what, that is the one downside of the whole European Championships, is the way professional footballers cheat. Professional fouls is what we always used to call them in the old days. Now you're within a foot of them, they fall over. When you do the replay, you find the guy's got himself a penalty and nobody's been within a half.
No. Hang on. That's one area that you cheated. So that was the dive. But I'm saying your fan shot a laser on the face. He did dive. He did. Anyway, we're going off track. England cheated, and good luck in the final. Now, obviously, a big day for UK sport as well, because Cav obviously is from the Isle of Man, but it's all under the UK banner. He could equal the record today because it's a flat stage, Phil, and we've been saying it all detour. The guys at NBC have their packages ready. Did you get Eddie Merckx? What's the build-up like?
We're still talking to Eddie, and we're making good progress at the moment. So we're hoping to bring him onto our TV program. Well, BBC, as always, that just pay lip service to cycling in the UK. They said, of course, that Cav was going to set the new record today, which he isn't. He's going to join Eddie Merckx on 34 if he wins down in Nîmes, which is where the finish is, a place where Caleb Ewan has won in the past, and sadly Caleb not with us in the tour right now. I think it's going to be fantastic for Cav. He's so fired up. He's worked hard, or I correct that. His team have killed themselves to keep him in the Tour de France to the mountains to great effect, and Cav has been up to it. And the first people he's with, his whole team's going back for him. They've got so much faith in this man now. And this is a rider nearly 36 years of age, or just over, who's come back to his old form. The Manx missile is totally recharged, and we are going places. And, well, today he should, hopefully, fingers crossed, equal the record of Eddie Merckx. And then I'm hoping the next time out, he gets the record, which will be 35 stage wins. Unbelievable. It is unbelievable. Just let me turn down the transmission coming in from New York, if you can hear it. I don't know.
No worries, mate. No worries. Phil is very defensive of Eddie Merckx's record, I've noticed. Very defensive. He won't hand it over.
I'm not. I love that.
No.
Of course, Eddie will say,
count back.
He only wins sprint finishes. I can see Eddie saying it now. When I win the time trials, the mountain stages, the flat stages, it's not the same record.
And you know what? And you know what? I'll tell you who will say exactly that when he finally gets there, and I think he'll get there, is Cav himself, because Cav has refused to comment on it. He refused to comment on, don't mention the name. But once he equals it, if he does, or even passes it, I reckon you'll hear Cav just talking about Eddie as the greatest cyclist of all time, and putting his own record into sort of perspective with that. But anyway, it's great. It's great.
We got Whitey. We got Whitey ready to go, boys, and he's under the pump for time. So he joins us live. Matthew White, head DS for Team Bike Exchange. What are your takeaways from yesterday's stage, mate?
Another very, very aggressive start, and then sort of imploded a little bit, didn't it? There's a lot of guys. I think we lost 10 riders yesterday, and a couple of other guys just scraped through, but very entertaining and aggressive stage. Then we saw one of the world's best bike riders, most versatile bike riders, win on Mont Ventoux. Probably the biggest man we've ever seen since Eros Poli win on the Ventoux, and he finished. So it's been an incredible ride from Wout van Aert, and he is one special athlete.
Yeah, exactly right, mate. I tell you what, I've never known an athlete of his size, because look, he's about 78 kilos, who could climb so well. And we've seen it over the last couple of years when there's only a handful left on a major mountain. He's setting the pace as a domestique, and you're down to the real climbers, and real climbers are going out the back, and he's been there. And we've seen that. But yesterday's performance was just something else. After finishing second and finishing very quickly to Cav in the sprint the day before, to come out twice up Mount Ventoux and do that was just, it's blown me away. I haven't got the words to really describe it.
Yeah, and also people don't realise, or some people don't realise as well, he's one of the best cyclocross riders in the world as well. So in his winter, he doesn't mind having a bit of a lash against Mathieu van der Poel in the cyclocross scene as well. So he's there isn't too many bike riders as versatile as him.
Phil, we've got a comment for you.
He won the World Cyclocross Championship on one occasion, and then he goes and switches his attention this year to the Amstel Gold, wins that on the best of the one-day races in Holland. And this guy can do anything. But what a great feeling! The one thing he never won before now was the Belgian Road Race Championship, and he was so happy to put on that winner's jersey 7 days before the tour started. This is all he wanted to look at. He was the road race champion of Belgium, as well as being a star of the winter and the mountain bikes. So to win a top Mont Ventoux wearing that jersey was incredibly special to him, and I think to Belgium too. He is an outstanding hero now, and well, he's not the next Eddie Merckx. There's no next Eddie Merckx, but he's certainly going to go a long way.
There's a question for you, Phil, from Stuart McIntosh. Says, Phil, was it a shame to see Vingegaard's efforts on the final climb neutralised by the descent? Would the stage have been much more epic with a mountaintop finish?
Oh, wait. Well, that's why he changed it to going downhill. We've done all the mountaintop finishes, and the Tour de France always look for another angle. But I never thought they'd put the climb in twice. The first climb, nothing like as hard as the second climb. It came from a different angle up to Chalet Reynard. But once over the top, they all knew it was there. That's why Alaphilippe was on the attack, one of the best descenders. And I suspect that's the only reason that Wout van Aert went on the attack, because of that descent down to the finish. That's their strengths. So they wanted to be somewhere in the action at the top, but they were so strong. Alaphilippe hit the wall, of course. But no, I think, Vingegaard, as they call him, was definitely showing us to be a strong bike rider. And let's throw in Ben O'Connor as well at the moment. Ben O'Connor suffered like he'd never suffered ever before in a bike race. And he's only 30 seconds or so off the podium still. So let's salute Ben as well. I think that the nature of the course frightened the race, but they really hit it. 100%. So hats off to the Tour yesterday, because they made a fantastic day out for everybody watching that Tour de France.
Well, you did. I'm sorry, mate. I was going to say, I've got a question for Matty. At the start, it was frenetic right from the start of the stage. But Alaphilippe, it seemed to be crazy. He was just going so hard. Did he really think he'd do that in the first 20 or 30K and still be there at the end? I mean, it just seemed a bit crazy.
Yeah, look, he's a guy who certainly rides off emotion, and when he feels like he's up, he certainly goes after it. But yeah, you look at that picture there of all those guys who was in the breakaway. He tore himself and that break a new one. Like it was, you can't race like that and then still expect to hang on. And showed a lot of pizzazz, but at the end of the day, it was 50K of warp speed racing. But it is going to come back and bite you, and it did with all those guys. None of those guys finished anywhere in the race yesterday from that very early break. Wout van Aert and a couple of other guys got across later. But it was an incredible first 50, 60 kilometres. But we've seen it day in, day out here, and which I think there's going to be some big explosions when we come to the Pyrenees.
And Durbo was obviously in the break there for a bit. And I saw on the backstage that he didn't actually sort of intend to get in the break. He sort of just popped into it and then held on as long as he could. And obviously it was unfortunate that because of that pace, you couldn't get one of the three climbers in there early on.
Well, the intent was for him to be in the break, but with one of the big guys, with one of the climbers. So he was trying to open things up because a couple of the other teams wanted the road blocked. So he took another group across to the Alaphilippe group, but then Ineos made it quite clear that they were going to control the rest of the stage, which then we let them up. We let Ineos control the stage, and they made a massive effort yesterday to control a very hot and long stage and didn't get too much out of it. And but that did nullify any more attacks from going across to the front group with Durbo in there. So we weren't going to get Esteban or Simon across to that move. Then poor old Durbs was stuck out front, but he did a really good job. He was probably a little bit more steady out there once he got in that breakaway, and he handled himself well. Didn't end up going super deep, which is good, and he'll be ready to fight another day today.
I thought he was absolutely fantastic yesterday, actually, Matt. To see Turbo in that break, looking like a climber, the way he came up that mountain. But we gave him a big rap on American television yesterday. He was riding superbly.
Yeah, but he's got really good form, and his condition over the years. He's a lot lighter than he was when he first turned professional, and he's a much more versatile, well-rounded athlete than he was when he turned pro. He was came in as a real time trial specialist 10 years ago, but now he's a guy we can take anywhere on the calendar, and he's a very, very good, solid teammate and can handle himself on all terrains.
I was going to ask you, Whitey, about the tactics of Ineos yesterday. They spent a lot of time on the front, and I was a bit confused. I don't know what they were actually trying to do. Obviously, they were trying to crack Pogacar, but I still thought
Pogacar. Mate, how many times?
Pogacar.
Nearly.
Pogacar.
Just call him Tadej, because all the other commentators...
Call him the Pog.
Okay.
Yeah.
Today or tomorrow. Tomorrow. So, but I thought it was great. So here we are on the last line. The last effort of Kwiatkowski, had one eye closed, pulled over, and Carapaz has just gone past him, pulled over, and got spat out the back. What was going on?
That obviously had a plan, and feedback. We got feedback through the boys that they were going to back Carapaz in for the stage yesterday, and so the teams were pretty content to let them do it. But yeah, like they lost Luke Rowe yesterday, who missed the time cut, and Geraint Thomas rode incredibly hard for a guy who's injured. And Dylan Van Baarle, I saw the sights of those guys when they came back when we passed them, and they weren't in a good place when they came past the cars. So, look, there's a couple of flat days for those guys to recover, but the battle there for the podium is going to be intriguing in the Pyrenees, because you can still throw a blanket over 6 or 7 guys, and people will have bad days in the Pyrenees, and other teams will pounce, but they didn't get too much reward for a big day out yesterday.
And Chavez, 14th on the stage. Is he priming himself, obviously, for this last block? Is there any particular stage that you think really suits him coming up?
Well, it depends how it's raced, mate. He's in 14th on GC, but he's far enough off classification to move when it gets hectic. So I think he's just going to have to bide his time, and there'll be breaks go to the line, and even guys in that between 10th and 20th will be able to move, because I think in the Pyrenees, it's going to get crazy, and UAE are in a position where they don't need to control they only have to control parts of the race, and then other teams will come on and help them because they're riding for second or third or teams or KOM jersey or whatever that may be. So there'll be a time there where things will get a bit messy in the Pyrenees, and that's when Esteban's going to need to move if he wants to win a stage.
We've got some people asking you, Matty, online about today's stage. Peter Williams wants to know, could a break win today? Could someone like Mezgets try for the break?
Yeah, look, that would be ideal for us. I think the problem today is because it's such a short stage and we've got a lot of tailwind, it's probably a pretty easy one to control for Quick Step and DSM, the teams who have got sprinters here. So if it's going to go, it's going to go early because there could be some crosswind at the start, but after about 20, 30K, we turn around and it's going to be tailwind for the rest of the day. So if the break hasn't gone, and if it isn't a substantial size break, I'm talking, 8 to 12 riders, then I don't think it's got too much of a chance. A small break will be pretty easily controlled by the sprint teams, but I think there's probably more of a chance of a break sticking tomorrow because it's 220K, and it's not a nice one to control, and it's a day before the Pyrenees. We're back into the Pyrenees, so I'd probably expect a pretty straightforward sprint stage today, unless a break goes in that first 30 to 40 minutes in the wind. Otherwise, easy to control, and could today be the day that Mark Cavendish equals the record?
Yeah, well, is it weird having the sprint points so close to the finish there? Like, that's only 27 Ks from the line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what it probably means for us is we will have to go for it for the intermediate sprint, and you'll probably see Cav probably won't even line up for the intermediate sprint and just pour everything into the stage win because if he gets enough, if he runs top 3 in the points jersey, he just keeps extending as in the stage. He keeps extending his lead in the green jersey, but there's one thing on Cav's mind, and that's getting that win, whether it's today or tomorrow, and the intermediate sprint won't phase him at all.
Well, he really does have to win 2 more victories because, as Phil said, this whole show, it just won't mean anything because he'll get done on countback if he equals Eddie's record. So, anyway, anything else you want to add there?
Look, he's a showman. He's going to get the record, 35 stages in Paris. That's the way it'll be.
Yeah, probably.
I wouldn't have said that 2.5 weeks ago either.
No.
So Sunday in Andorra is pretty tough day. It's not it's again a bit like yesterday in that it's a downhill finale, but you've got 3 Cat 1s into Andorra. That would be a really good day, you'd think, for Esteban.
Yeah, even also Saturday. Like Saturday might not have the Cat 1s or the heights in the climbs, but it's a pretty tough day on Saturday as well. I think we've got 5 categorized climbs, a shorter day, and sometimes those shorter intense days can be more aggressive and more painful. So both days have potential for breaks to go to the line. And like I said, UAE are in a pretty situation. They've got the strongest behind the bike race and such a buffer that other teams will end up taking over the second half of stages for them anyway.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add, Iffy?
No, I'm just excited about how it's going. So I know that Jerry now watches most of the podcast because he got stuck into you and I last night for drinking beer and not Mitchelton wine. So we've got
we drink both.
Yeah, but he didn't see us drinking Mitchelton wine. He only saw us drinking beer. So
right.
I think that's
send us a box and let's go.
Yeah. I think some of our sponsorship was cancelled yesterday, and he watched all the stage too because he rang me about 1:00 and had a go at me because I told him Yatesy would win. And he said, I've stayed up, and where's Yatesy? I said, well, I can't be right all the time, or hardly ever. But
hey, I want to ask you about Ben O'Connor because you did say before the start, like, hey, cool, you Jess, because we're all super excited. And you said he went pretty deep, the other day, and, he may have to pay for that, which he did. What is your gut shot on, do you think he's going to finish top 10 on GC?
Top 10... He might be able to hang on there. I think he went through a world of hurt yesterday, but I think he's got some more coming up this weekend. He did go extremely deep to win that stage, and what I noticed yesterday is a lot of guys in that breakaway Sonny Colbrelli was third on the stage, and he was at one stage yesterday. He was last man on the road nearly. So there's a guy we've gone from extreme temperatures. That was a stage with 4 or 5 degrees and rain to yesterday was 32, 33 in 48 hours. Some guys, obviously Ben and Colbrelli performed really well in the cold, and then they've got to flip it to 48 hours later and perform in the heat. So. Look, let's hope Ben can hang on for the top 10. But he's got a lot of hard days in front of him, and let's hope he can use these next 2 days on the flat to recover.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed with him actually yesterday because, as Phil was just saying before you came on, he was in a world of hurt, and he went over the top. But he didn't actually lose hardly any time on the Pogacar group in that final 20K descent. Yeah. It was pretty impressive, actually. Yeah. So he's sort of hanging in there. As you say, Whitey's got to have a couple of days to recover. But look, he's got about 5 minutes still clear of Kent. And he's only 30 seconds off second. And it's not like he's the only one who was in trouble. Everyone was in trouble, including Pogacar. Or today, the pod, because even he, we saw the first signs. I'm going to ask you this one before you go, Whitey. Because we're going to debate this.
The form of us leaves. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. Well, he was on the rivet. He was on the rivet, and when Vingegaard, or whoever you can say,
what do you call him, John?
Vingegaard.
Vinegar tits. No, that's not. I didn't say that. But anyway, he that was a wonderful move when he went bang and the Pog went with him, held him, and then he was on the rivet. He didn't just say, "Oh, don't want to go into the red." No. He had to sit up. So that was a genuine. It's the first time I saw any sign of the slightest crack in 2 years. So there's a bit of a smell, like there's a bit of blood in the water. The sharks are circling.
No.
I beg to differ, Johnny.
I'm in your camp, Whitey.
I beg to differ.
I think the Tour de France marketing team have tapped him.
I just think that because the finish was 25K downhill, it's like, well, do I try really go deep to try to catch this kid, or do I just pull it up here and wait for the two blokes behind me, knowing there's a 25K descent? And what happened? He waited for Carapaz and Iran, and 3 guys go faster than one on a descent at that speed. And I think he just made an intelligent move. And look, he obviously, if he had the legs, he would have gone with him. But winning 3-week tours is not about being the best every day. It's being the most consistent. And he made a smart move yesterday by not cooking himself. Everyone knows he doesn't like the heat as much as the cold, and I think he just rode a well calculated move yesterday to limit. At the end of the day, limit his losses. He didn't lose anything when we arrived on the finish line.
Yeah,
I reckon you and Dan.
Hang on, John, you're cutting Phil off. What do you want to say, Phil?
Well, I agree entirely with what Matt says, but we had the privilege of looking into his face from the camera lens. He was into the red zone when he sat up from Vingegaard. He was pained, and I've never seen him show pain on his face ever. He couldn't go with him on that climb. I'm sure he was thinking what you said, Matt. Let these guys catch me. We'll take him on the way down. But there was no doubt he wasn't allowing him to go intentionally. He was in the red. His face said so.
No, for sure. Vingegaard looked a lot better than he did. But there's a difference. That's why this year, it's a shame for me that there's not more hilltop finishes, because it's a different dynamic when you're finishing down the other side. But you're not necessarily seeing the best guy, best climber win those stages when you got to finish on 25K on the other side.
Yeah, but hang on, Matt. We're talking about the Pog. But let's talk about Jonas. I mean, this kid's a bit of a sensation, isn't he?
He is, mate. He's come on the sport a little bit later, but he's made some incredible. We noticed him earlier in the year. I think he won a race, Coppa Bartoli, which is a small race in Italy. But he's just been gradually chipping away, but he's made some very big improvements in the last couple of months. And he's a big talent, and obviously he's one of the 5 or 6 guys who's going to be battling out for the podium this year.
Yeah. I was really impressed with the Pog when he got to the finish. And the way he just congratulated Vinegar, and I just thought, he just showed it's just so much class, and even with what he said afterwards, that he knew this guy was going to be something special. So he's class is the word that describes him. He's just full of it.
He is, mate. He is. But this younger generation, there is a definite degree of respect for each other, and it's great to see. It's great to see. Now, guys, I got to go. My bus is leaving in 3 minutes.
No,
unlike Jonesy, I've never been left behind at a bike race.
That's not
and it's not good. So you got to go.
Bye.
See you, mate. Bye.
All the best, mate. Go well.
He's gone. It isn't a good experience when you miss the bus. It's terrible. Your heart sinks. You feel sick.
Where he is, of course. Yeah.
No.
So he must be driving off to Saint-Paul-Trois-des-Châteaux, I guess, for the start, is he?
I think so. They've had a couple of big transfers too. I think it was a bit over 2 hours the other night. And as you know, Phil, when you're in part of the travelling circus, these are all the factors that sort of wear you down a bit. That is one part you probably wouldn't miss, the transfers.
No, well, we always used to have to drive directly from the finish to the next stage finish. Now, if there was a transfer in between the finish and the next day's start, that added ending up to 150 miles to the night's drive, because we had to pass through the start town to get onto the finish town. No, I don't miss those at all.
I got to fess up to something here. I've got to own up to missing the start of a stage back in a Sun Tour, and I woke up, looked at my watch, and thought, gee, I've slept in. I must have had a couple too many or whatever the night before, and I raced up and I raced out. And the whole tour was gone. Luckily, I wasn't racing in the tour. I was working on it as a journo. And so I had to, I ran around and asked for it. I said to a local, mate, the Sun Tour, I've got the papers, goes this way. Can you give me a lift? So he drove me. We had to drive about 30 kilometres pretty fast. And we caught the back of the convoy. I went up to the sag wagon. I said, can you jump on your radio and call Simon Townley, who was my sports editor, and tell him where I am. So next minute, Simon pulled over. I jumped out of this bloke's car, into the car, and caught up with the race.
Saved by the bell.
Just another classic. You're just a cat, John. You always end up on your feet. John Stevens says Wout van Aert was 125 to 1 to win with the UK bookies for yesterday's stage. Also, has Phil ever visited Kevin Richardson's sanctuary?
Well, who's Kevin Richardson? Sorry if I'm sounding a little bit ignorant here. I'd like to know more on this.
It might be like UK's version of the Tiger
John,
King.
let me know about Kevin's sanctuary, and I'll give you the answer.
Yeah. Ben Jensen, he's got a problem. If you're experienced with the bike importing and transportation, it would be good if you could get someone on from the bike industry to explain the very long lead times it takes to get bikes at the moment. 12 months for a semi-decent road bike, especially if you want electronic shifting. Maybe Bike Exchange would know. Ben needs help. Iffy.
Yes, well, Bike Exchange is one of the best places to go, actually, man, because nearly every bike from every bike company in Australia
Mark Renshaw.
Mark Renshaw. But I can understand his dilemma, because at the moment it's not the bike frames. I've got about 150 bike frames at the moment. Well, Jerry's got them, but access to them. Beautiful Scott frames, brand new. But cannot get components. We cannot get the group sets to put on the bikes. And that's the big challenge we've got at the moment.
And John, this is something somebody wrote to me only yesterday to say the cost of some of the repairs to the bicycles now. This chap had been sold a fabulous bike with a Campag group set on it. And 3 months into the purchase, he was riding it the other day. And he found the shifters were very sluggish, so he had to replace the cables. The 2 cables were $150 for 2 shifter cables. They were called smooth changing cables. What does that mean? But that's 70 English pounds it was. I can't believe it.
You've got a good marketing team.
Smooth changing, all right. No change getting involved. That's for sure.
Yeah,
$200. No change.
Yeah.
But if they live in the Geelong region, give Billy Joe Shearsby a call. Geelong Mobile Bike Repairs. He is sensational. Ex-world champion on the track back in '93 with Stewie in the tennis pursuit. But he's got a fantastic setup down here in Geelong, and he's busy but he doesn't rip anyone off. He's a great bike mechanic too.
Hey, Kim Dixon's got a tip for you, John. Pogacar rhymes with focaccia.
I'll never forget it again. I'll never forget it again.
Now, Tim, you've totally confused us now.
I'll eat that up. Yep.
Now, Ben Lawson says the wind might play a part today, I think. Now, if Bike Exchange are going for that sprint, John, and if there is a crosswind, is there a chance there could be a split? Obviously, against Quickstep, that'd be pretty difficult, but you're telling me there's a chance, Iffy?
Yeah, I don't think there's much chance. They need a lot of crosswinds very early. But I could tell you that Cav won't be sitting too far back. He's. I don't think he's too worried about that sprint. I reckon he'll just let them sprint it out and save it for the finale. But it's going to be a wonderful finale. Be a great stage. You know who I reckon is going to. I don't know what his odds will be, but I reckon he's a big chance. Wout, not Wout. Wout van Aert. I think he will be in this with a chance. He was quite impressive running second 2 days ago, and he was actually finishing quite quick. What a extra string to his bow if he could do that. But he's still got to go with Cav. But I reckon Wout will give him a bit of a challenge.
Yeah. But I'm not sure. I think this is the Mistral blows up around Nîmes. And if it does blow well today and it rips into the peloton, we could have a great bike race for sure. I don't think Cav will miss out because his team will probably drive, though, if the wind gets in there, for sure.
Well, they'll be wanting it real bad. So who's your tip? Who's your tip for the stage, Phil? Before we let you go.
I don't know. I'm last to pick today, so I certainly won't be able to pick Cav for the competition. I picked Pogacar yesterday because I was hoping. I didn't think he'd win, but I thought we'd get points. The man I thought might have won actually was on the attack all day till he blew, and that was Alaphilippe. I thought it was a perfect day for him, and clearly he did as well. Today, I agree with Matty's comments. I think this will come down as a bunch sprint, but we're getting a small peloton here. We're losing quite a lot of riders. 158, I think, was left now. And Philipsen is there. But honestly, if the team deliver Cav, as they have been, I don't think there's a cyclist in this race can get near Cav in the finishing sprint. The team's only leaving him 150 yards to race. And that's it. He can do that. He's so fast when he's delivered at that speed. I think I don't know how tired Wout van Aert will be. But normally, I'd put him down for the win too today. I think that guy's got his tail up now, and he can do it any which way he likes.
Just got a message from Whitey. He said he made the bus with 30 seconds to spare. I'm literally rolling out.
I mean, they weren't going to wait for him. Oh.
Would have been real bad. What were you going to say, John?
It's interesting, isn't it? I don't think Wout van Aert would be...
butcher.
Would be any more tired than anyone else because he actually seemed to have more in reserve than anyone. I mean, all the other sprinters they were struggling to even make the time limit. So they'll be just as tired as him.
Carnage at the back yesterday. Poor Victor Campenaerts, the former world hour record holder, he came out for Quebecer. All the riders around him are climbing off, and he was suddenly left on his own. And he's got his parents on Mont Ventoux, where he climbed up. I think he was 14 years of age when he was learning to ride a bike with his dad on Mont Ventoux. He knew his dad was up there, and even though he was dropped and far behind, he stayed in the race to see his dad. He saw his dad. He stopped and chatted with his dad because he knew he couldn't make the cut, so he chatted with his dad, and then he abandoned the race. But that's
Did you see that footage, Phil, of Cav tipping his hat to the Simpson Monument on Ventoux?
I didn't see it, actually. I was already in the car going home because I only call it when it's finished, and then it goes back to the studio in the States. But I heard about it when I got home. In fact, Trish told me because they'd shown it, obviously, on British television. What a gentleman. What a gentleman.
Yeah, fantastic. Kirsty, the odds checker, she said $6 for Wout van Aert and Cav $2.38.
You mean Aussies. You mean Aussies.
Yeah. Now,
I
Phil,
don't understand odds in Australia.
Phil, you're doing commentary, obviously, for Channel 7 for the Olympics. So they need help with the soccer games because Stuart McIntosh said, I'd love to hear Iffy commentate on a Socceroos game. Be some tongue twisters there for him to tackle.
I think it'd be better than on a soccer game. But while we've been talking, guys, I've just had a news flash come up on my screen saying that they've declared a state of emergency in Tokyo regarding the COVID cases. Now, where do we go from there? Of course, I'll be here in London when I do call the events for Channel 7. But I start work at 11 o'clock at night and go home at 7:30 the next morning. I'll work all night on the calls. So there's a penalty to pay not being in Tokyo, that's for sure.
Well, it's just so much money. They're talking $50 billion invested into these games. And I heard the latest that they'll just have no fans and a really strict bubble. But if it comes to, there won't be any state of emergency, I don't know what they're going to do.
So many people paid money as well.
It was one of the lead stories on our news here about the record number of cases in Tokyo. But anyway, they're still going ahead with the games. They're going.
Hey, we had 32,800 cases yesterday in England. That's worse than it was at the height of the problems. And we're still going to reopen to everybody in the next couple of weeks.
We got 80% vaccination rate now, yeah?
That's the thing. What I can gather, though, is you haven't got the same amount of people going into hospital because they've been vaccinated. So the whole thing with the vaccination is you can still get the COVID, but you don't get very sick. So that's been one of the beautiful things to come out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, the hope. Well, only 14 people died yesterday. Of course, one is a tragedy, but 14 out of 32,500, it's got to be kept in perspective.
Yeah.
Last question before we let you go, Phil. Free Ranger wants to know, should Sagan keep going or hang up the bike at season's end?
We could have said that to Mark Cavendish, couldn't we? And now look at him, back to his old best again.
That's right.
Cav has come good. Sagan could come back again. And the other hero, as far as I'm concerned, in this tour is Chris Froome. He is a man who's won the tour 4 times and all the other major tours, and he's been lagging at the back of the race every day, but coming home, and still you talk to him, he's chirpy. He's just hoping his body will come back to what it was, and let's hope it does. But I think Chris has become a real hero over these last 2 weeks.
John Stevens says Richardson's Sanctuary is in Johannesburg. See YouTube Lion Whisperer.
I have heard of this. I know I haven't been to Johannesburg. It must be somewhere around what they call the Cradle, just outside of Joburg. It's where all the cyclists actually go training. It's a nice, quiet area. I nearly fell off my bike when I was out with the guys about 5 years ago or more, and I saw lions walk past. But they were behind the fence on the road, but I had no idea there was lions near Johannesburg. And the guys just all started laughing because they knew my penchant for wild animals. Well, no, I haven't actually been there, but I think I've seen the place.
Didn't you have a mate get chased by a lion once and he lifted up his mountain bike and charged him? Because if you do get chased, that's what you got to do. Yeah,
I did.
What happened there?
Where we actually now live in the bush, we're in a very remote part where we're very inaccessible, but it's wild. And I said to this guy who was an Italian, and he prided himself on knowing everything, as Italians do. We'll find out on Sunday if that's still the case in the Euros. However, I said to him one day, I said, I've just mapped out a fabulous mountain bike route. He says, great. He said, well, let me tell you a little story. I always run. And elephants hate me and I hate elephants, so I can smell them. He said, but this time I thought I'd go on a mountain bike. And he said, I had no reason to look over my shoulder. I was rasping with breath on the rough road and climbing the rocks and stuff. He said, but I looked over. He said, and a lioness was in full run to launch herself onto my back and take me out. And he said, now normally, of course, we'd all go faster. That is the absolute wrong thing to do. So he stopped the bike, turned round to face her, lifted the bike up first of all, threw his bottle at her, took the bottle out and just threw it at her. Then he picked his bike up above his head and screamed. Because the quarry had stopped running, she queried the kill now. So she put her brakes on, looked at him and ran away. Now, I'd have done the total opposite. I was pretty green in those days. It's got to be 10 years ago. pretty green about working with the animals.
Phil,
but,
you know
he got away with it.
You know who else is from Italy, Phil? Pinocchio.
Oh yeah.
Sounds like this guy. He might like twisted a
nosy character.
I reckon there's two parts. That could have been if it happened exactly like that. It could have just been the smell that turned the lioness around.
That's what. No, sorry, I didn't finish the story. That's what he told me. He's such a I don't know what the word is. He's a little bit conceited. He said that what was really annoying me was I never smelt her coming. Is what he said, because you always smell. You can smell them. It's true. There is a definite aura of an elephant or a lion or a leopard. You can smell the creatures because they live in the bush all the time. Yeah. But
I reckon the lion. Go on.
If you've ever read the biography of the former president of Kenya, Kenneth Kaunda, that's how he said he learned to ride a bike. He got chased by a lion. He grabbed the nearest bike, rode to a tree, and shun up the tree. That's in his biography. Yeah.
There you go. Well, now we have to mention we have to mention the foundation, of course, Kareka, KARIEGA.co.za.
You're saying it's spot on now, Dan. You've cracked Peloton. That one, correct?
Oh yeah. Fantastic cause. We mention it every time on the show, and
my Peloton is growing. You guys have been fantastic. The money is still coming in now. I haven't checked this morning, but there is Tandy, who is the lady that's won all our hearts, I think, and that's why you've been sending me these very nice donations over to Kareka. In the months ahead, you'll be getting emails from us to invite you to come and ride with us on our little trips around the reserve on the mountain bikes, courtesy of Full Gas. You just put the app on your computer. If you want to ride with us, get a smart trainer. If you haven't got a smart trainer, you can still follow on board with us and watch us, and I can still talk to you. So.
Yeah, I watched. We watched. It was great.
Yeah,
you and John watched, and I take my hat off because you got up at 1 o'clock in the morning. We're just negotiating now with Full Gas, not negotiating, but talking with them. We're going to publish times to suit the Aussies on some of the rides and times to suit the Americans. Unfortunately, because I'm on with everyone, the times will always suit me. Hey,
perfect. Good stuff, Phil. Well, we better let you go. You've got obviously work to do and build up for what could be a historic day at the tour.
Yeah. Well, yes. Wow, can you believe it? I'm running out of superlatives for Cav every time he wins, but I'll have to find a few today. It will be very special.
Yep, and at least 100 hugs at the finish, mate. At least.
Or at least. Probably. Well, we're down to about 156 riders now, so we can get through all of them by the finish in a bunch spring. That'd be great.
All right, mate. Good stuff.
All right, guys. Have a great evening and enjoy the race too. Thanks, everyone.
Good on you, Phil.
Bye-bye.
Take it easy, mate.
See you, Phil. Bye, mate.
Phil Liggett, the voice of cycling, absolute legend. It's that time of the show where we have a quick word from our great mates at Let's Go Motorhomes and Bike Exchange. And Iffy, don't forget to mention the best. I better change that. Hang on. I reckon I can change that live. Best questions or input or best input. I'll change it to save. There you go. Best input. $500 Let's Go Motorhome voucher each week. So just get involved. And
I reckon best questions much better. But anyway.
All right. Well, then I'll get the big Kevin Bartlett handball, and you pick the best question every week and put it in your little notes.
No. I like the way mate. You're doing a great job. It's just going to give you a whack now and again. I love you doing it.
Enough prep for this show. All right. There you go. Let me down again. Let's go to an ad. Enjoy, folks.
We all love an open road, and often they're easier to find during quieter times of the year. In a Let's Go motorhome or camper van, you can road trip in comfort and style any time of the year. When the roads are quiet, you can get where you want quicker and easier without jostling for position. Chances are your destination won't be as busy too, which means you'll enjoy your travelling adventure even more. Plus, if you book a Let's Go motorhome or camper van in the off-season, you pay less, meaning you can travel longer. There's a type of motorhome or camper van for everyone, so you won't have to compromise on what you want. The whole range has the things you need to help create the perfect road trip experience, including heating and cooling, keeping you comfortable on the road all the time. Whether there's 2 or 6 of you, there's a motorhome for everyone. And in a Let's Go motorhome, your journey can be just as fun as the destination you want to reach. The open road is calling. Check out some of our great offers online today and start planning your next road trip. Rain, hail, or shine.
Look at this bike. You think it's just a bike, right? But it's not. It's a bike 374 people are looking at. This guy, this girl, them, all looking at it. People from here, there, and wherever this is. People that are looking for a bike. Or just a piece of it. Amateurs, semi-amateurs, and pro-amateurs. This guy wants this bike, but with this crank and these bars. This could be the perfect match. But not this one. This girl has a bike to sell, and thousands of people might purchase it. Eyes on Bikes help grow small businesses. His, hers, yours, and the latest data and insights help those businesses keep moving. We are the world's #1 bike marketplace, with over 500,000 products and 900 brands, where buyers and sellers are brought together in a place where a bike is never just a bike. Bike Exchange, where the world buys, sells, learns, and rides.
Thanks again to our great mates at Let's Go Motorhomes and, of course, Bike Exchange. Now, geez, this $500 voucher from Let's Go for the week, it's got the people talking, John. Kirsty, she says, surely I'm consistent. Now, Kirsty knows I like a punt, so she's always giving us the odds. And then she's backed it up with, hey, I asked what happened on July 3 and no one knew why a special day. Stumped you all. Was the first yellow for Orica Green Edge with Gary on it in 2013, and I was off that day. And then Kim has a good idea. What if it was best contribution for the week? That's got a good ring to it.
You got a good ring for it.
Yeah. And Ian said, Kirsty Baxter, just asked Dan to make the prize about the best comment on winning odds, and you'll be right. An odds-on favourite, in fact. Tomo. He's always got a sharp wit, old Tomo. Good stuff. Now, John, women's Giro overnight. Iffy's women's Giro Donna wrap.
I just, before we get to that, I just want to give you a bit of a whack around the ear. Last night, you complained about the beer I gave you, said it was warm and not really cold. You never actually mentioned that I was cooking you a feast. Now,
True. Yep.
But not so much. You hadn't eaten it at that stage. But now that you have, I thought you would have started the show raving about my specialty.
No, well, that is a good point. You did make your specialty. It's this sort of linguine with cream, mushroom, chicken. Did it have bacon in it?
Garlic. No, garlic and onion.
I'd probably add a little bit of bacon to the next one. It was very nice, but no, it's fantastic. It's really good. I really appreciate it. But it actually was a funny show. It was great to have Sam Bewley on as well. And thanks again. I was talking to Sam Bewley and Shane Archibald, because normally what I do is the last 50 Ks, if I'm going to start for the stage, I'll just have Bewley in my ear and we'll just watch the stage and basically commentate ourselves. And then Shane Archibald walked in and I was winding him up, obviously the Kiwi rider. And I said, how come you didn't get to the tour, mate? He goes, no, I'm in the B team. And we were talking about Cav and all the hugs. And he goes, oh, bro, I told him after stage 2 in Turkey, like, go easy on the hugs, mate. Like, this is just over the top. Because you almost like didn't want him to win, eh? So I thought that was fantastic. But, yeah. All right. The women's Giro Donna.
Giro Donna. Yeah, well, stage 6, it's supposed to be just a flat sprint. But Amanda Spratt and Elisa Longa-Borghini, they decided to, because they're both back a bit further than what they expected to be in the GC, and they made it very aggressive. They were both up the road, and in the end, it was a sprint with Emma Norsgaard, the Dane from Movistar. Really good sprint win, winning it from Riviera, the American from Team DSM, and Marianne Vos on the podium again, trying to get that 30th stage win. She's doing a cav. But great stage. But some good stuff coming up. So we've got tonight they've got 5 Cat 3 climbs, so no really steep ones, but it's going to be all on, and then a flat stage on stage 8, and then on Saturday the Queen stage, which is they've got a 22-kilometre climb up to Mataja. That'll be completely wrong, but anyway, that'll do. And they're over near the border, getting towards the border of Slovenia there. And the finale, which is not an easy stage, not a flat one, it's got 4 Cat 3 climbs to Camon, which is just near the Slovenian border.
Funny story about Corinne Rivera. She actually stayed with us in Girona. I had a couple of spare rooms, and Amy Bradley, who's a good mate, came over and stayed for about 6 weeks. It was around the time I was filming the AC/DC video, and we needed some more extras for the scene with the fireworks. That eventually got stuck and almost blew them all up. So she was a whisker off having a serious injury from that fireworks explosion. But no, she's great, though. So. Good luck to all the women competing. How many stages to go, Johnny? 4?
Yeah, finishes on Sunday, and Anna van der Breggen still leads from her teammate Ashley Moolman-Pasio, 2 minutes 51 back, and another teammate Demi Vollering at 3 minutes and 3 seconds. And the Spratty is sitting 12th at 7 and a bit minutes.
Jason from the Maldives says, best contribution. Problem is, Jace, if you were to take out the voucher, I don't know if they ship them to the Maldives. And if you did, you'd just be doing laps of the island, mate. But anyway, Free Ranger says, isn't it about time for Freckles to make another appearance on the show? Talking about, obviously, Stewie O'Grady.
Yes. As a matter of fact, he'll be thinking I've forgotten all about him because he said he was happy to come on. We should definitely get him on.
Let's get him on tomorrow.
Okay, job done.
Good on you, Free Ranger. Because of you, Stewie could be on tomorrow night. That's got to be worth.
Let's get goes in the mix.
All right. Well, that wraps the show. It's been a great one. Thanks again to Phil and Matt White, and apologies, Whitey, for almost missing the bus. YouTube.com/The Detour Podcast. Can Cav do it today, Iffy? Do you think he's going to equal the record?
I think he will, although I am going to have a bet on Wout.
That's it. Tried to trip out.
Van Aert. Van Aert. He's an artist, all right. There's no doubt about that. He's blown me away, actually. I put him right up there. It's funny. You keep talking about different guys who are just a rider in a generation, as they're saying, with the Pog and also with Van der Poel. But you've got to put Wout right in there with them, without any doubt.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be an interesting stage, and hopefully, I'd love to see Cav get the record, except that does make it unattainable lead for the UK versus the Australians. We'll just have to forget it.
I think it's already there, mate. I think it's already there.
It's already there. All right. Well, we'll see you again tomorrow night, 6:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time for the Detour Live. Thanks for your support. See you soon.